All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Eric Jr. Podcast. It is a brand new year, 2022. Brand new year, same old inconsistency when it comes to the Eric Jr. Podcast.
Yes.
I, of course, am your host, Jacob Klein, joined here tonight remotely by Mr. Christopher Lynch. We have isolated from one another. We are separate, but also together.
Yes.
We are here tonight to really bring you a fantastic podcast with so many good talking points. Sir, how are you tonight? How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling well. Like you said, we are separated together. We're in the same house in different rooms because, of course, this crazy thing called COVID is wreaking havoc once again. But I, like you, am super excited about the podcast tonight. We waited extra long to bring it to you to make it just a little bit more special, and I really feel like we've nailed the timing on this one. The Eagles have shocked everybody, have qualified for the playoffs. They are in the tournament, man. They are in the dance, and I couldn't be more excited about that. And, of course, Joel Embiid on the court, dominating in every facet of the game, has been for weeks, was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Month of December. Huge honor. A lot to talk about and a lot to be happy about.
Yep, definitely some minor topics there, and where we'll start tonight is the Phillies farm system to really make sure that we're hitting the most important stuff. I mean, come on, fellas and ladies listening. The Eagles are in the postseason.
Yes.
The Eagles, at one point this year, were 3-6, and I was in complete disarray regarding my fandom and my confidence of this team, and really questioning why I was spending so much time, not just watching, but then talking about this Philadelphia Eagles team. And here we are with a week of regular season football still to go, and your Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts and Nick Siriani, are headed to the playoffs. It is truly unbelievable from where they were earlier this year. That is not a hyperbole. I mean, I am legitimately shook. Where we need to start tonight is by addressing the two men that I just mentioned. I would prefer to start with Jalen Hurts, a guy who we never truly wavered on because our evaluation from the beginning of the year, I think the word that we would both use was solid.
Yes.
Okay, this guy was really solid, great character, never going to have drama, never going to wow you with anything. And just to give you, before we get into the emotional side of it, just to give you his stats for this year up to this point, we're looking at Jalen Hurts, 16 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 10 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
And Cream, I'm going to give you the over-under here. Over-under 770 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts this year.
I mean, sounds like, is it the over?
It's the over at 785. I mean, and I got to say, I have just been blown away by his poise in games where he has not played well. And I think he's answered a lot of questions about his ability to play in this league, maybe not necessarily for this team long-term, but to be a starter in this league. Yeah. And that's really, past couple podcasts, if you listened, I went back to the tape. I went back to November 10th. The players in the professional leagues do it. They go back and watch the tape. I go back and I listen to the tape.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, we did remain pretty level-headed after that Chargers loss, looking at a 3-6 record, saying that they have easy teams they can beat up on. But Jalen Hurts has really responded, and I'm just really impressed with what he's been able to do this year.
Yeah, I agree. Responding to adversity is something that we take into account when we're evaluating, right? Like you said, 3-6 coming off that Chargers loss, the third loss in like 4 weeks. That was really just like you came so close, and just watched it all fall apart at the end. Real demoralizing stuff, and. A lot of people are ready. All right, let's talk about the draft. Let's get ready. We're gonna have a top 10 pick. Let's figure out what the future of this franchise is. But the team, the coach, and the quarterback, they responded. We know they had an easy schedule, right? All those games against bad teams, but you beat those bad teams with the exception of that one week against the Giants. Every week they've come out with a clear and concise game plan, one that fits to their strengths. They're following it. They believe in each other. That's what you want from a team, especially a young team coached by a young head coach in his first year. You want there to be a clear plan. You want to be able to see it. You want to it to make sense, and then them week after week follow through and have success. And like just the second half of the season, just to put it in perspective, like I was kind of pretty out on Siriani. A lot of people were the first half. He was, they were throwing the ball so much, 30, 40 times, and just Hurts just did not look comfortable in the pocket. He was missing throws. This flip is switched, week 10, they go to Denver and they churn out, they only get 170 passing yards, but they get 216 rushing yards. They churn out those yards on the ground. And it's suddenly like light bulb moment. We're a running team. We have a great offensive line. We have dynamic running backs and a dynamic rushing quarterback. And just the identity of the team, everything just clicked into place, and they've been on that run ever since. And we're still riding that high. I think it's really impressive what they've done. If we're gonna knock coaches for, like being unable to analyze and like move forward and change your game plan. Doc Rivers, exactly. You got to give credit to Siriani because he's done that. He's looked at the tape, he's seen the problems, and we know it's not his ideal system. He wants to be this passing happy team, throwing it all over the place, spreading the ball around. We can't do that yet, and maybe we never will, but he's found success in what we're doing now, and that's something to give him a lot of credit for.
For sure, and I'm ready to pivot to Siriani in just a second because we do need, as a fellow guy who said I am OUT out on this dude, I also have something to say on that matter. But quickly back to Jalen Hurts, the number that sticks out to me, or the category rather, it's the turnovers.
Yeah.
Had a couple bad games, had 2 interceptions against the Dallas game, the Dallas debacle in week 3, if you can even remember that far back, Monday Night Football. They get embarrassed. Nick Sirianni with the Beat Dallas t-shirt. I mean, then Jalen Hurts has 3 horrendous interceptions against the Giants a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. What has jumped out to me, he had 9 fumbles this year, only lost 2 of them.
Okay.
Those are the types of things that keep you in games when you're making those mistakes, but they're not backbreakers. And you've even seen it these past couple weeks. Look at these slow starts, going down 10-0 twice against Washington. Hurts not doing well in those first couple of drives, not doing well the first half of these games, and finding a way to string together drives, to make the throws when he had to make them. That really jumps out to me. The big takeaway I have right now with Jalen Hurts is you want to talk about not getting rattled, and I don't even want to mention the latest on the video of the fans crashing in there. You want to talk about a guy not getting rattled and having confidence in himself that does not ever waver. You're talking about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And the words that keep coming to mind are just proud and impressed.
Yeah, I agree. And we know he's not this elite quarterback prospect. We knew that going into the season. But what he's shown, what he's been able to do, it solidifies his kind of status as, maybe a second or third tier in that 15 to 25 quarterback range. Like, you can build a competent offense with this guy as your quarterback, and that's something to, that's not nothing, I should say.
Absolutely. And if this year has shown us anything, this year specifically, quarterback play-wise, that is absolutely the takeaway we should have. Mm-hmm. So quickly, I don't want to spend too much time. Nick Sirianni, as you mentioned, the willingness to adjust and to forego his plan heading into the year mid-season and to work to the strengths of the team. I feel like pundits and fans have prided ourselves on the lines on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line, and yet the design of the team didn't really mirror our consensus evaluation of that being the strength of the team. And you can say it was against subpar competition, but they continue to run all over. I can't remember the last time we've had over 100 yards rushing, and obviously much more than that in several of these games. But this, you could, if there was a wager on it, people were cleaning up these past couple weeks because it didn't matter if it was on the road. It didn't matter if it was against the Saints' supposed number one run defense.
Yep.
These guys ran all over teams. And we know Jeff Lurie is not the type of owner that is going to, completely shift his ideology to say that, let's zig when everybody's zaggy and become a running team. That's never going to happen. But Nick Sirianni deserves a lot of credit for working towards his players' strength to making that change in real time. And part of it has to be, and this has been borne out with some of the responses from players, part of it is the personality and his consistency, albeit a bit corny. The guys like him. The guys like him, and he's consistent. He doesn't try to pretend that he's something he's not. So,
I agree.
As a guy who's completely out on him, I will wear this as a badge of honor. I'm not going to say I was completely wrong. We saw how quickly things turned around with Doug Peterson. But I will say that part of my criticism of Nick Sirianni was unwarranted, and I am wishing him, hoping the best for this team and for him. And to be a first-year head coach that gets into the playoffs, that is no small feat. I don't care what the schedule is.
Yeah, and all these qualifiers about the Eagles season are, it's true. Like, obviously they don't, the seventh seed getting into the playoffs, the easy schedule down the road, being able to beat up on these division teams, that's true. But like, there are a lot of teams in the NFC that wish they were in the position we were. They had the opportunity and they weren't able to capitalize. That's something. This is a real accomplishment, and it's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. So I think we've given them their fair amount of flowers.
Sure.
Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, I would say. As we continue to talk Eagles, I just got to quickly, I want a little tangent here, Cream, a little bit of a tangent. The 2018 draft class for these Eagles, this year in particular, recently has had such an impact. After shipping out Zach Ertz, Dallas Goddard has really emerged as the guy that you paid him to be. Josh Sweat this past week, 2 sacks, two key deflections, quarterback hurries out the ass. I mean, this guy was a monster. I think he's up to 6.5 sacks on the year. We know the medical was the reason why he fell in the 4th round to where he did, but they have extended him as well. Avonte Maddox, huge plays this past week. 3rd and 4th down in the 4th quarter, makes some huge stops.
Yeah.
And we have to mention him, Matt Pryor, who was traded for a pick swap. Value there, a 6th-rounder.
Sure.
Netting us value normally never happens. And finally, the man that it's all about, Mr. Mailata.
Yes.
The franchise left tackle that we got at
unfreaking believable, man.
The guy that we have at a discounted rate. We're getting him about $5-6 million less than what he would have had if he hit the open market after this year. So then locking him up earlier this year, another savvy move. That 2018 draft class, 5 picks total, and 4 out of those 5 being franchise cornerstones, I would say. I mean, at different positions.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just
legitimate starters, all of them, and contributors. And Mailata, you're absolutely right. Just, he was always the guy every training camp. Like, oh man, this guy. He's looking. Can he turn the corner? Can he get a little bit better? Can he get a handle on the offense? And it took time, but credit to the Eagles. They had patience. They kept this guy. They kept working with him. And now, it's paying dividends because he is a legit, like you said, franchise left tackle. And to get that in the 7th round, man, that's a monster return for value right there.
Last thing I'm going to say, 2018, this Eagles draft class, 2018, the year that the Eric Jr. podcast is created.
Wow.
Coincidence? I think not.
Wow. I don't believe that. We didn't start until the summer, right?
Absolutely not. But it's the same calendar year. So I'm going to go ahead and chalk that up as a
2018 Eagles draft class hitting their stride in 2022. Who knows, man? Maybe this is the year.
Who knows what's next, man? That's exactly right. Now, these birds have got me flying high right now with all of the drudgery and all of the pessimism surrounding our life and our society. For these Philadelphia Eagles to provide a bright spot. Hey, man, this area needed it. It's palpable in the streets of Philadelphia. You can feel it. People are a little lighter on their feet. People are holding their heads high. We're proud of these guys. We're proud of this organization. They are going to the playoffs, and it's going to be fun regardless of what happens. We still have a week of regular
I
season
know,
football to
yeah,
go,
that's the
dude.
thing. Like the fact that they clinched it with a week to go.
That is
Um,
absurd.
yeah, I mean that just makes it all the more sweet. Now we don't know what's happening with the Dallas game. We know a lot of there were a few starters mentioned being put on the COVID list. We don't know if they'll play. We don't even know if Siriani will play any of the starters. There's not a lot of incentive seating wise for the Eagles in this game, but of course, rivalry game. It's a chance to really like set your mark in the playoffs to show you're not going to be some pushover. Um, uh, I'm curious to see what direction he ends up going because I could see them, really having a go at this game and trying to make a statement win. What do you think? Where do you lie on the resting versus statement win kind of talk?
Well, I'm going to allow my answer to be influenced by the opposing head coach, who
Sure.
very on brand has said, we are playing our starters in this meaningless game, and this
Oh, I
has
love
value
that for
to us.
them.
Freaking Mike McCarthy, dude. What a schlub, dude. What a chump. So the fact that he is outright, not even like having any type of like, oh, let's put some strategy behind it. Let's say they might play, might not. A couple guys, maybe a series or two. No, he flat out was like, we're playing our starters. We like to win football games.
See, when he does it, it makes it sound like a terrible move. But if Sirianni did it, I'm like, there it is. Well,
Love this guy.
the thing is, the Cowboys have literally nothing to gain. If they play their starters and lose, that's a massive disappointment. If they play their starters and win, so what? Like, you beat the 7th seed, or there isn't. It doesn't make sense to me for them. I don't believe that they have a chance at the 1 seed anymore, right? Because
no.
Green
Bay has it locked up.
Yeah, Green Bay has it. So there's really nothing. They really have nothing to play for. The Eagles at least have the opportunity to set the tone for the playoffs. They're going to be underdogs, probably heavy underdogs in their first round matchup, depending on who it is. Could be the Rams, could be the Bucks. I think there's a crazy scenario where it could be the Cowboys, but that's unlikely.
Yeah. The fact that Mike McCarthy is saying
yes
that he's so
gung ho about
steadfast in that decision, it makes me say, screw it, don't play anybody important.
Yes, just let them.
Maybe Minshew goes out there with John Hightower and just balls out.
Yeah.
Right? Who knows? To answer your question, I would say don't play anybody important. We just got a COVID outbreak.
Yeah, anybody who's anybody should probably not. Maybe they get a series in or something to keep them fresh. But Hurts is, he's still he's dealing with that injury from earlier in the season. Probably just a good opportunity to rest him. The offensive line, has been kind of beat up, and then with this COVID stuff, no need to risk anybody who is of any risk. But if guys want to play, they want to play a half. I guess I'd be okay with that.
We're lying to ourselves if we're saying this is not the type of game that Gardner Minshew.
Oh yes,
dude.
No, you're
like,
right.
National Saturday night primetime spot, quote unquote meaningless game.
Why would they put this game on that time slot? That makes me question what they're thinking.
I don't know. It still is gonna because you got to think the viewership is still gonna be up because of the markets.
Sure.
But I would say this is an absolute Minshew game, and to take that a step further. The guy running the show for the Eagles, Howie Roseman, if Minshew goes out there and balls out, we've all talked about how nice it would be for a security blanket to have Minshew going into next year. Howie's about to go finesse Minshew into a 4th-round pick, dog. If he goes out there and does well, he's going to be calling up Pittsburgh and everybody else and saying, hey, you want this guy. So let's keep an eye out for that as well.
Minshew is an elite backup quarterback. You're right. He does have some pop potential for this game.
Potential.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
I'd like to see that. You're right. They don't have. He's not locked up, right? He's probably a free agent after the year.
No, they got him for one more year. They got him for next year too.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's so much value with that contract when they got him, and to have him in camp and all that is great. To have such a competent guy. Look, I don't think they would move him even if he plays great and they're offered a 4th or 5th, simply because of how much value we put on that backup QB position. We have
They
no
do
idea.
value it quite a lot.
It has been proven time and again
It is
that they value it. They
quite
overvalue it.
valued.
They overvalue the shit out of that position now.
Okay.
I don't have any takes about the NFL at large. And maybe if we can squeeze a pod in next week, I'd like to make some playoff predictions once all the seeding and matchups and whatever have been laid out. What I want to leave you with is this, if you're okay with it, as we close out this Eagles talk.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier this season, it seemed that we were on a crash course to underperform as a team and overperform with our upcoming draft picks.
Yes.
Where they would land.
Yeah.
And what I want to ask you here is it not exponentially better to have a playoff team with the third youngest roster in the NFL getting these playoff reps? Is it not better to have that and have 3 first-round picks that maybe none of them will be in the first half of the draft? Or is it significantly better to have foregone this quote-unquote transition year and have 3 picks in the top 15? As a guy who you said were already eyeing up those top picks and wondering which holes we could fill with studs and just great players and surrounding the roster with talent, where do you stand on that specific idea, seeing as how it was very possible and our pendulum has completely shifted in the second half of the year?
I mean, you're absolutely right with the sliding doors moment. I feel like in week 10, everything just changed. The Eagles, the Colts, and the Dolphins all decided to get their shit together. All went on these big winning streaks. To answer your question, though, while it would be fun and certainly useful to have, these, we're talking top 15 picks. If they're not in the top 5, I'm actually okay with the current scenario because I think the NFL is different from the NBA in that I think making the playoffs in the NFL is extremely valuable, even if it's just a one and done, even if it's you just have a puncher's chance in the first round. I think just stacking playoff appearances just elevates your franchise, the perception of your franchise, and I think just changes the mentality of the team. Because with the NFL, there's just so many players. Getting all of those players on board, bought in, is a lot easier when you've had success, when you're 9-7, as opposed to, next year if the team had gone I don't know, if they won 6 games, if they were 6-11 and they got the 9th pick, that'd be cool. The 9th pick, yeah, it's a good player. Certainly, you'd rather have that than the 19th pick in a vacuum. But I just think with how many guys it is, I think there's real value in making the playoffs, especially young coaching staff, youngish, really young team. We're building something here. I'm going to take the current scenario. I'm going to take, 3 later picks, but the Eagles are going to the playoffs. I think that's just a massive win for this franchise, even if you don't get, the elite prospects that you maybe could have gotten elsewise. What do you think?
Well, I thought that was a great answer, and you had that whole answer without using the C word, culture.
Yeah, well, that's where I was swimming around it, yeah. I was circling the drain.
I agree with you, and I really especially like your point about the stacking the playoff appearances with football with these young players. You've got a couple vets, you've got the very few who were around for the Super Bowl, and for the mix of them to be in a playoff game with the youth is just such a special, irreplaceable experience that hopefully will help these players in their more formative years after they've stacked several years in the league. I mean, Jalen Hurts starting a playoff game, that is massive. That is massive.
Absolutely.
For him and this team, and also for possibly if he's going to be playing elsewhere. I mean, I don't know. They've won me over.
Yeah.
You can just hear it, and I would absolutely rather have this playoff appearance, even if we get smacked around a little bit, and have these picks. Granted, the Dolphins pick could maybe inch up to 12 or 13 still with a loss this week, but I'm not sweating it, dude.
Who are they playing?
I'm not sweating it. Ooh, not Tennessee?
They're playing New England.
They're playing New England. New England has already clinched a spot, but they do have something to play for seeding-wise. I think if they win and Buffalo loses, they could hypothetically
win the
division.
They win division versus a wild card, so that is
only if Buffalo wins, though. So it's like
right.
I think they're going to still play their starters, and if
right.
Miami loses, I mean that's top half of the draft pick. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, yeah, 13, 12-ish. That's pretty good. I'll take it.
I'm pretty.
And like we said, I mean, we not even discounting for the first 6 weeks of the season, I was convinced that it was going to be a second-round pick from Indianapolis.
Oh,
like,
no doubt.
so this has actually increased, the value here because getting the 20th pick or the 21st pick versus even an early second is pretty solid because you get that extra year of contract control for that rookie. So I think you have to be pleased with the developments in Indianapolis because that
Once
pick is.
Once we put all this behind us and this Super Bowl winner has been crowned and we start to look towards next year's draft.
Yes.
It is gonna be. I don't care where I am in my personal life, man. Those draft simulations and the rumors and the quarterback talk, dude. I'm gonna be so deep in that. Can't get there yet though. We got playoffs, baby.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely right.
Actual last question. Your preferred opponent. For me, it's the Bucks. It's Tommy B.
Yes.
And do you share that belief?
Absolutely, man. Give me Tom Brady. Let me crush his dreams for the last time. Please. I mean, I like it. I think we match up fairly well with them. Obviously, they're super banged up.
No Godwin, no AB.
Their running backs are all banged up. We control the line of scrimmage. They got a good offensive line, but if we can control the offense, control the ball, keep Tom Brady on the sidelines, like, man, we got a puncher's chance, and it's not like we have a significant. It's not, day and night. Obviously, the Rams and Bucks are both pretty good teams with pretty high aspirations. Both will be pretty heavily favored, I imagine. But I just want the Bucks. I want to be able to take them. I know it's a long shot, but beating Tom Brady again in the playoffs would really, really be great. That would make him staying in the NFL worth it. If we could just beat him one more time.
That's a great take. I want nothing to do with the Rams. And, dude, if Jalen Hurts beats Tom Brady in the playoffs, everybody just has to say, whatever I said in the past, he's the guy. Whatever he wants to do. If he beats Tom Brady in the playoffs, then everything is nullified. It's like a blank check. It's what do you want? Because whatever you want, you get. So we're gonna find out soon enough who our opponent is. I am gonna predict with a fair amount of confidence that we will pod before this Eagles playoff game, and I'm excited, man. I'm giddy, still smiling ear to ear over it.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm glad we were able to document most of it.
That's right. Jeez, what a roller coaster. Okay, you ready to talk some hoops here? You ready to pivot?
Yes.
And not
hard
drag
pivot.
That pivot foot?
Hard pivot. Ready for it. Let's talk Sixers.
Now, this Sixers squad, similar to this Eagles squad, has had its a fair amount of ebb and flow this year.
Yeah.
We seem to have been rounding a corner in terms of the health of our roster, and then we get smacked with Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle back in protocols. You've got Paul Reed now in the COVID protocols. It's just never ending. It's a cycle that we just have to get used to. This 76ers team had a really nice win against Brooklyn.
Yep.
They had, smacked Houston in the second half last night. They have a very winnable 7-game stretch coming up where they can create some separation in the very, very tightly contested Eastern Conference at the moment with the Chicago Bulls sitting atop the Eastern Conference. The first thing we need to talk about, I'm going to defer to you here, Mr. Joel Embiid, who has been on an absolute tear, the Eastern Conference Player of the Month for December. I need you to walk me through what it has been like just watching him get back to his MVP level form and just how eternally grateful we have to be every time we watch him when he does his magical skill set of playing basketball.
That's true. We are at the point in Joel Embiid's career where every game we have to acknowledge that we shouldn't take him for granted because we don't know how long he'll continue to play like this. But right now, he is just on an absolute tear. He's recaptured his form from last year after the COVID break really just like put a damper on his season. He's really just getting the flow back in, and he's just making ridiculous shots right now. These step back threes, these floaters, just like automatic from the mid range, and that's just that mid range shot, the face up. It's just something that the value of it is hard to articulate because it just opens up everything for him. When that's falling, he really has the world you know at his fingertips. And these past like 8 or 9 games, I guess, where he's averaging like 30 points, um, like you have to marvel at him. I know it's not been like the toughest schedule. He hasn't faced a lot of uh, resistance, we'll say, when getting to the basket. Um, beating up on the Daniel Tices of the world, and I think Toronto, like they didn't even have anybody to guard him. But nonetheless, the numbers that he's putting up are incredible, and it just goes to show kind of how this team has kind of repositioned itself around him for the pretty much the first time of his career. Every player on the court is almost always like geared to helping him, like making sure he is operating at 100%. And there are, negatives to that as well as positives because, we'll talk about the rebounding and the transition defense later, but on the offensive side, he is really flourishing, and the Sixers, it's been a clear, uh, option to go to him every single time, and he's been destroying it.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of responsibility he's shouldering on both ends.
Yeah.
The fact that he has come right back from COVID, and unlike another player on the team, has just picked up right where he's left off. He's definitely starting to ramp up. His prowess defensively
Yeah.
just shocks me. And I know he can contest everything, even when we all plead for him not to in a 10-point game when it's almost over. He is still going for that chase down block. Had a ridiculous block against James Harden in the Nets game.
Yeah.
His
Crucial,
motor, his motor, and also his skill set. Joel Embiid is the most deft ball handler on the team other than Tyrese Maxey. He is now, it's not like oh wow, look at Joel bringing the ball up. Now it's like, oh, here's Joel initiating the offense because nobody can throw an entry pass, so he said it's the fuck it, I'll do it myself, Yeah. I mean, he has everything that he does. He plays with the skill set of a guard and the tenacity of a 90s big man. I mean, he is such a one of one, and his level of play is so stunningly spectacular every single night when I watch him. Even when he's not, even when that jumper's not falling, he's still having such an impact. Even in the Rockets game last night, you notice they are getting to the rim at will with him not on the floor. And even if his shots aren't falling, when he's out there, the entire offense of the opposing team has to adjust accordingly. And, obviously when you get Matisse back, just those two guys, if you could get the right player to plug in with those two, it's just been remarkable, and I continue to be astounded. It's not like, it gets old. Watching him cross up guys, pull up into his little hezzy, pull up mid-range, and then watching him Euro step, watching him get the and ones, watching him hit a fadeaway three, it just never is going to get old. And I will not stop gawking and cackling to myself every time I see it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The Brooklyn game, we didn't talk about it, but that was a super important game, not just because you beat James Harden and Kevin Durant. Obviously, that's awesome, but that was like the first game I feel like where Joel and Maxey were both excelling at the same time. You saw Maxey hit, I think it was like 5 threes, a lot off the catch and shoot, but there were some step backs and some positions like in there. That was super important because those are the two guys right now offensively that um, they hold the key, right? Like to succeeding not just right now, not just against the Houstons of the world, but later down the line, come the playoffs. Those are the two guys that you're going to need operating at 100% capacity. They're going to be playing 30, 35 minutes. The fact that they're starting to, it's early days, but they're starting to coexist and both be able to, be dominant at the same time. That's just massive moving forward.
No doubt. I will continue to give you my positive feedback about Joel Embiid every single time he plays.
Yep.
There are other things to talk about with this team.
That's true.
Are you okay with moving on?
Yeah,
our
we can move on. We can move on. We'll do this again sometime. Don't worry.
Alrighty. So I know that Festivus has passed.
Yes.
But it is still time to air our grievances about Mr. Tobias Harris.
Going into a new year, you don't want to hold that negativity in. You want to get it off your chest. This is a perfect time for really just freeing yourself from the negative energy. So why don't you go ahead, Jake?
The thing is, this is a rock band playing their number one hit at the beginning of the concert. You're like, what do we do after this? Like, everybody's listened to it. Everybody knows this song. This is all that we want to hear. This is what people are coming into these podcasts and articles looking for. They're looking for the people to talk about how much they detest watching Tobias Harris play for the Sixers. And I don't want to contribute to that, but it's my duty as a Philly fan at this moment. And this is what I'll say. Like, Tobias Harris last year, borderline all-star. Best case he ever had to make the all-star team.
Yep.
All the vibes are good. This year comes down with COVID. Completely different looking with the team. Beginning of the year, feeling each other out with a huge Ben Simmons hole being left on the roster.
Yep.
At the beginning of the year, is playing pretty well. Even his first 5 games coming back from COVID, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 40% from 3. Those numbers all year, that's exactly what we want from him, albeit not enough threes, never enough threes. But I digress. The last 15 games, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 25% from 3.
Wow.
Shout out Andrew Onenberger from the Right Cirque Sanchez for his article today. I think it is must-reading material. He walks us through how we have to view Tobias Harris in a way, Chris, that I found was very similar to our recent discussions regarding, look at Niang's fit out there. Look at Niang's quick trigger and that effect on Embiid. And could Tobias be the centerpiece of a second unit? All that stuff, he really addresses it in this article. And essentially, the point at the end is we have to wait. We have to remain in this holding pattern. We have to hope that he can emerge out of this shooting slump and this just overall, the way that he is having an impact on the court. And I'll continue to say this. Tobias Harris takes and with some regularity makes some of the most difficult shots I have ever seen an NBA player take in regular season games. I'm talking backing down a guy from one step inside the three-point line, 4, 5, 6, dribble, pound, dribble, pound, pivot, go up, twist, double clutch, hit the mid-range at 17 feet. And he's hit that shot enough times where I'm screaming every time, and then it goes in. I'm like, damn.
Did it again.
In the playoffs, when things tighten up and he gets ready to take that shot again, I'm going to be like, he's done it. He's done it before. Maybe I won't be as upset. But I don't really have much to contribute on this conversation other than I am ready to wait. I am ready to be level-headed in knowing that the percentages will get better. The one thing that I will continue to hold on to, which will never happen, is shooting more threes. And earlier in his career, Chris, he did shoot more threes. In Detroit, on the Clippers, he did shoot more threes. So I don't want to hear it's just not part of his game. It's just not something he does, because he has done it. And unless he's hearing from the coaching staff and Joel Embiid to not do it, which he's clearly not.
Right. It's ridiculous.
So
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that. And I'm like water, man. I'm just gonna flow when it comes to Tobias Harris and the Tobias Harris rhetoric.
Yeah, the thing with him is you're really just there is nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. You can't, you know, bang your fist. You're gonna wear yourself out because he's here to
Oh, I'm
stay.
done. I've
He's
won
not
myself.
gonna like he's not gonna change one game to the next. He's still gonna pump fake at the 3-point line, pass, get the ball back, set up a post. Like I do think that he's clearly, having a bit of a confidence crisis right now. Like the shot's not falling. He hasn't hit a three, I think in 4 games, which is bad. Um, Clearly this is an irregular, phase of his game. He's not going to shoot 25% from three for the entire year. That's just probably not going to happen.
Sure.
He's probably going to get better at it. He's a career 36% shooter from three on 3.6 attempts.
Don't tell him that.
He's
You
right.
know how he cares about his percentages. Now he's not going to shoot any more threes because he can't risk that going down any further.
I mean, it's funny. Last year he had the career, not the career high, but really good shooting numbers across the board. The year before, actually, he was probably more effective because he was shooting 5 threes a game at 36%, and that was the ill-fated 2019-2020 Sixers. But he was actually shooting pretty well that year. It kind of got overshadowed by everything else that was terrible. But that was actually a really good year for him. And each of the last 2 years, he's really dropped off. Only 3.4 last year. And right now, he's struggling to get any shot to go in. I don't know if sitting out will do any. He just play through it. Like it seems like he's just being real hard on himself. You saw last night. I mean, thankfully it didn't, but there was the elements of a potentially ugly scene. The home fans were booing him after another miss. He seemed really agitated, really upset. Probably with himself and the fans, just the whole situation. But you hope that he can come through this to the other side because the Sixers are going to need him to get those numbers up. And it's not like he's not. I think we conflate the contract with the player probably too much. I mean, I'm guilty of it as much as anybody, but he's still a positive out there. He is probably the third most athletic player on the team, which is really tough. Like that
It's more
sucks.
of an indictment on the
It's more of an indictment on the organization, you're right. But he is the third most athletic player on the team, and that's like without him, you see Niang, and yeah, he's got this quick trigger, and it's great, and I love him. But I've seen Niang just get blown by one too many times on defense, and I'm just like, it's not worth it.
That's fine. That's all well and good.
The
except
grass
that last
isn't
night,
always greener.
sure.
Is all I'll say.
Except how I have to respond to that is that last night I saw Eric Gordon put Tobias Harris in the spin cycle
In
with
the blender.
his ability to get to the rim. Then I saw Eric Gordon put the clamps on Tobias Harris on defense and cause a turnover. So,
Eric Gordon, sneaky good defender. I really like Tobias should not have wanted that smoke. Like he should have passed it out. They had one competent defender on the court, and it was Eric Gordon. That was not the matchup you attack Tobias. Every time he sees somebody shorter than him guarding him, he's like, gotta post up. I'm like, dude, you guys actually weigh the same amount, and he has a lower center of gravity. Like, you're not going to be able to move him. This is a bad idea. I wish I could talk to him during the games. I think I would help him out a lot. Because that was just not it last night. That was just a bad idea from him.
That's a perfect segue because this is the question I will leave you with. I have two things, but this is the one that you perfectly led me into here. When you watch Tobias Harris, this is the last thing I'm going to say about him. I get it. People have had enough of this. I get it. When you watch Tobias Harris, is it worse to watch him on offense when he gets a center switched on to him or when he gets a guard switch on him. Because they are both painful in such different ways. And I need to hear from you when one of those positions gets guarded onto him, which one is worse as the viewer?
I really don't think he should try to post up smaller players anymore. I think that
Blanket statement.
Him posting up is usually a bad idea. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I imagine they're not good. You know, like these face-ups, like quick. What happened last year? Like Doc Rivers got in his ear. You got to make quicker decisions, Tobias, and he responded with a career year. What happened, man? Why are you not making quicker decisions anymore? Now, the whole team is slower by like 10 to 15 degrees. Like everything is slower.
10 to 15 miles per hour.
10 to 15 miles per hour, that's correct. Everything's slower. Maybe he thinks that he can be slower, but it's just really frustrating watching him just like, at least when it's, yeah, him, and he calls for pick and rolls like so often, and he doesn't know how it's not nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. Nothing happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He calls for it, and then it's like, okay, so now what?
Yeah, because he can't pass out of it. He's not like, that's just not his game. Like, yeah, so that's really frustrating. He's been really frustrating this year. I don't want to come off as a Tobias sympathizer. I kind of am, but like, he has legitimate flaws that are really infuriating, and that contract sucks. But you know, like AU said, you got to just wait it out and hope he can play his way out of it. That's just the best case scenario.
I would argue simply that our discussion that we just had about Tobias Harris is our civic duty as Philadelphia fans, and I am going to close with this. I believe there may be a solution to help multiple parties. I believe that solution...
Careful now, Jake. Careful now. This is being recorded and put on the internet for the world to hear. Tread lightly. I care about you.
So I believe I am capable of hosting a peace summit between Tobias Harris and Jalen Reagor and several constituents from the Philadelphia area. A sit down at a neutral location where we can hash all of this out, come to an agreement, and then present that proposition to the fan base and to the world at large. And if representatives from either party are able to acquire this audio clip, I am more than happy to move forward with that process. And that is all that I have to say about that.
Interesting. First proposed subject: get Jalen Reagor off punt returns immediately. Take him off. He's bad at them. Take him off. I never want to see him back there ever again. That's the First Amendment. Yes. I do have a quick question.
Go ahead. I've been asking plenty of them.
Would you trade Tobias Harris for Russell Westbrook?
I love this. These are the hypotheticals I fucking wake up for, man. In a word, yes.
No, man. You can't.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. That's pretty good. Oh, man.
I haven't thought it through nearly enough.
Yes, immediately. Oh, that's good.
The thing is, like, the crazy thing about quickly on Russ is, like, it's like, man, if only we could channel what he does well and just use that stuff. And here he is on a team with LeBron freaking James, and even he can't reel him in with the long twos and his erratic play. So if he can't get him to do that stuff, I guess I would want no part of him. But you know what? I'd probably do the trade.
I honestly would do it too.
Yo, oh my God! All right, we gotta move on. We gotta move off this topic right now. We are in conspiracy land.
Yes. Okay, let's move on. Tyrese Maxey, before his going out for COVID, was putting together a good run of play. He's been excellent. Any other Sixers you want to talk about? Touch on? Doc Rivers, of course, missing a couple games for COVID reasons. Dan Burke getting the headset, or not the headset, I guess, but the whistle, whatever.
The clipboard.
The clipboard. There it is. That's the one I was looking for. That's basketball. I mean, life is good. 2 wins. 2-0. Life in the Dan Burke era is good.
This Dan Burke fella, he's got it all figured out, man. No, nobody really to shout out. The one guy to maybe keep an eye on, my guy would be Furkan Korkmaz.
Yeah, I mean, great game last night.
Came out on fire at the beginning of the year, went through a massive slump, and is starting to get a little warmer these past couple games. And the thing is, he's so matchup dependent that he's going to come in really useful some games and be completely unplayable some games. And
that's just what it is.
Unfortunately, we have too many players that I think fit that mold.
Yeah.
But, we are still waiting on a huge Ben Simmons trade to rock our worlds. And until that happens, there's not really much to say about the rest of this team other than our Lord and Savior, Joel Embiid.
Yeah, the Simmons stuff is tough. The Simmons stuff is tough. That's a fun tongue twister. Because it felt like they were gaining momentum with the December 8th, trading all the free agents. But then
DEFCON
COVID, we moved it to DEFCON 2. But then COVID just wrecked every single team's roster, and I really think teams are still recovering from that. It made trading really hard. Obviously, the CJ McCollum stuff was kind of the first domino, but the teams that would, in theory, have interest in trading for him, all their guys got COVID. All the Sixers guys got COVID. There was just no trading. Now we've seen a couple. The Cavs getting Rondo, couple trades. Hopefully, the talks start to heat up again soon because it is getting close. Somebody said that the trade deadline was 5 weeks away, and I spit out my coffee.
Oh my God, that's so much closer.
It's so much closer.
What is wrong with your trade deadline? Relax, dude. Stop pressing me. Dang.
It's fucking coming up quick. Yeah, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared for that. It's gonna go down to the fucking day, probably.
Oh, man, that day is gonna be crazy. That and the Eagles draft haul, the NFL draft time. Those are the reasons we pod, man.
Yeah, those are the days.
Those are the reasons we slum it and get through the off seasons without and Phillies baseball. It's the reason we do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is to get to the things that matter the most.
Which is the trade deadline, of course.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. I still think the Cavs and then the Portland Trailblazers are the likeliest, but I do think that there are more teams now that would be interested in him than there were at the start of the season. I think Indiana, if they decide to offload Sabonis, I think he makes a lot of sense with that team. Obviously Brogdon, Miles Turner, those two guys are pretty custom fit for him. That'd be an interesting landing spot. That's all I have. That's all I got.
We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty good on the Philly sports aspect of the pod, Mr. Chris here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else Philly related before I fire off some rapid stuff for you?
I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna let me cook. That's exactly what I wanted to hear there.
Yes.
Okay, so first on the docket of unrelated topics here is, I don't know if you heard, but the Washington Nameless football team is due to get their new name presented to the public February 2nd. The news coming right on the cusp of a
getting eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, being eliminated from the playoffs and just a horrendous public relations nightmare with their stadium again. And just
collapsing, falling apart, much like their team. Yeah.
Quite literally falling apart. I'm going to read you off the list of possible names here. I want to see if any of them jump out to you. The confirmed final candidates are the Armada, the Presidents, the Brigade, the Red Hawks, the Commanders, the Defenders, and Football Team. Football Team is actually an option.
That's pretty funny.
That is so ridiculous.
Defenders I don't hate. Armada I hate. What
the
was
Presidents?
The Presidents is terrible. What was the other one? The
Brigade?
The Brigade. I don't hate that one. I don't hate that one.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Washington Brigade. Yeah. What is that? That's like a military thing, right? That's like a
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I would choose that one, I think. That one would be my pick if they consulted me.
Yeah. At one point Red Wolves was also there, but
Red Wolves.
The trademark is not available. So
that's really funny.
Thankfully they can't pursue that terrible name. I think Commanders is solid as well.
Yeah. Mm.
But it's very blah. But I think for an organization like that, blah is pretty damn good.
I think if you're going to go blah, go defenders.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Next topic here for you.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this one is Philadelphia sports related. It's a game. I'm going to explain the game right now. The game is I'm going to list every receiver in the draft class that Jalen Reagor was taken.
No, please don't.
That was taken after Jalen Reagor.
No.
And you are going to say the word buzz if you would rather have that receiver, or the word pass if you would rather not have that wide receiver. Are you ready to play this game?
No.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to skip the pick that was taken directly after Jalen Reagor just for, everyone's sanity. At number 25, Brandon Ayuk, pass or buzz?
Buzz.
At number 33, T. Higgins, pass or buzz?
Buzz.
Michael Pittman Jr. at 34.
Buzz.
Laviska Shenault at 42.
Buzz.
KJ Hamler at 46.
Probably Buzz, but I don't know anything about him.
There you go.
I
Right.
have no idea.
That's right. Chase Claypool at 49.
Yeah, Buzz.
Van Jefferson at 57.
Yeah, Buzz.
Now, here's where it gets a little bit interesting. Denzel Mims at 59.
Oh, isn't he a bust too?
He's pretty bad.
He also said he hated the city of Philadelphia. So
That's right.
I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna give it to him.
That is the correct answer there. That might be the only pass. We only have a couple left here. Brian Edwards at 81.
Yeah, Buzz. I'll buzz him.
Devin Duvernay at 92.
See, I've never heard that name before in my life. I don't know if that guy's real. Let me look him up.
Look up
What
his
pick
stats.
was he?
Devin Duvernay at 92.
92. Devin.
I've only got three more here. I think
Oh,
I know your
I went
answers.
to the wrong draft. 2019.
2019. Yes, 2020. Gabriel Davis at 128 plays for the Bills. Don't know enough
I
about
don't
him.
know who that is.
All right, fine. Last one then. Donovan Peoples-Jones at 187.
Oh,
You've
he's
heard of this
good,
guy.
right? Yeah, I think he is good. So I'll buzz him.
Okay, you'll buzz him. So, of all these players, Denzel Mims is the only one that you can, with confidence, say that you would rather have Jalen Reagor.
Jalen Reagor has 3 touchdowns, and I think that last guy only had 2. Or the Duvernay.
Duvernay, yeah.
So I would pass on him. I would give
All right.
Reagor the spot over him. He has 3 touchdowns, so that guy only had 2.
Look, we aired our grievances about Tobias. I feel like this was a really cathartic exercise as well. Can I give you the last thing that I need to get off my chest?
Yeah.
Last thing for tonight's pod, completely unrelated.
I'm ready.
In the NBA, unlike the NFL, well, until recently, the freedom to choose your number has been something that has been of much interest.
Yeah.
The NFL's rule change. We've got linebackers wearing number 5.
Yeah.
We've got, when does it become too much? When does it become until the offensive lineman can wear number 3? Okay? It's getting out of control. I liked it initially, and now I'm completely off it. My question to you is, can you think of an underrated number for the NBA where there's not a star player wearing that number? Obviously, there are some really popular ones: 3, 23, 11.
Sure.
Those are your big hits. I'm going to give you my answer to give you a little bit of time to think about it. I can't, off the top of my head, name anybody. Maybe you can. Number 4.
Number 4.
The guy who comes to mind from a while ago, Chris Webber.
Sure.
I think wore number 4.
I had a Chris Webber Sixers jersey.
That's right. God, we always get them when they're so washed.
He's so washed.
We always sign them when they're so washed.
Yeah.
But number 4 right now, I can't picture anybody in my head who's a top tier player who's currently wearing it. So those single digits are hard to find.
Yeah.
Where there's not somebody rocking them. Do you have anybody off the top of your
head? Number 4, no, but I do have a number that I like.
What do you got?
If you like to hear it. Number 9. Andre Iguodala.
Of course.
I'm thinking I think number 9, man. I feel like that's a underrated number.
You're right. No one's jumping out. Number 9, and Iguodala does come right into my head when I think of him, which is weird. Nobody's been better than Iguodala that's worn that number? That seems
All right, let me look it up, because I can just... We
have the technology, but we would think of it if it was a modern NBA star with that number, someone of notoriety. But
Yeah, I can't think of anybody. And I'm not
Well, I
seeing
think
it. I think they used to have it on Basketball Reference, but I'm not seeing it anymore.
they
So
stopped. They're like, there's only 3 people looking at this every year. We've got to stop putting in the man hours
that's
to
fair.
put this
Honestly, that's
data in.
fair.
And I'm one of those 3, so they lost a customer.
Yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, I like number 9. I think that's I mean, 22 is my favorite number. And T Slabble, I mean, rocking it.
Very, very popular favorite number. I'm just gonna say that. I'm
It
not
is a
gonna say
very
anything else.
popular. You're absolutely
Very
right. No,
popular favorite number.
that's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. But it's great. It's just so, I mean, symmetrical. I love it.
Well, you know what's not too bad? That's all that I have for you tonight, Mr. Lynch. So,
Wow.
unless you have anything to leave with the people, they are going to leave tonight's pod thinking, contemplating, and just dreaming about numbers tonight.
Nope. I think that works. This was a good bounce back pod. Um, yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
I feel fantastic about it, and I'll tell you what, I think we should try to do one next week too.
Hey, let's do it. Let's make it a weekly thing here.
Alrighty.
I'm with it. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with us into the new year. We are excited to be back and ready to go here. So thank you very much.